Good day everyone, this is your anchor, Dean Clamor, bringing you the information.
Information nothing but the truth, and I'm Exically Higo.
We're into
Purposive Communication. The topic we will discuss today is about barriers of purposive of communication, informative, purposive, and argumentative.
Let's start with the introduction of various purposes of communication.
Good day. Let us start with various purposes of communication. Communication serves 5 major purposes: to inform, to express feelings, to imagine, to influence, and to meet social expectations. Each of these purposes is reflected in a form of communication. When people communicate with each other, they exchange various forms of meaning, such as idea and information, through a common system of symbols. Typical communication can include writing in a diary, watching televisions, talking with friends, and speaking on the telephone. It has been estimated that people spend more time communicating than they spend on any other complex activity in life. Human communication takes place on many levels, from the simplest interpersonal and small group exchanges among friends to mass communication, as experienced in public speeches, magazines, or news broadcasts. Communication is not limited to exchanges between people. It also refers to activities that do not involve people. For example, the word communication may be used to describe the ways that animals relate to each other. Similarly, it is often said that electronic devices communicate with each other. All such communications happens because participants in the process share an understanding of certain symbols and exchange them in a systematic or orderly way. David, what can you share about our topic?
Nowadays, there's a lot of people who find it easier to communicate by sending a message to electronic mails, social media, or cellular phones than in person. One reason perhaps is this: speaking on one-on-one basis, or either small or big group, is intimidating and even terrifying. However, you should understand that having excellent communication skills can particularly help you express yourself clearly and confidently, gain the respect of other people, achieve your goal, and succeeding in life. I have an example, like digital communication. When people communicate with each other, they exchange various forms of meaning, such as idea and information through common systems and symbols. Typical communication can include writing a diary, watching television, talking with friends, and speaking on the telephone. It has been estimated that people spend more time communicating than they spend on other complex activities in life. Human communication takes place on many levels, from the simplest interpersonal and small group exchanges among friends to mass communication, was experienced in public speeches, magazine, or news broadcasts. Communication is not limited to exchange between people. There's also refers to activities that do not involve people. For example, the word communication may be used to describe the way that animals relate to each other. Similarly, it is often said that electronic devices communicate with each other. All such communication happens because participants in the process share an understanding of certain symbols and and exchange them in a systematic or orderly way. New technologies have created opportunities in the entertainment industry as well. Increasing number of households receive their television programming through coaxial cable or satellite signals. The many methods of recording television program for later playback increase both the quantity and the variety of material people may view in their homes. The actual content of entertainment also changed as computer animation created entirely new style and visual effects in cartoons and film.
In short, communication is made for different purposes. The way messages are crafted depends both of all on the sender's intention. What about you, Gabby? How will communicate for various purposes be applied to the society?
I believe there is no doubt that communication plays a vital role in human life and human society. It not only helps to facilitate the process of sharing information and knowledge with others, but also helps people to develop relationships with others. Therefore, the importance of communication cannot be underestimated.
That's correct, Bonifacio.
I have a question to you. Why is purposive communication important in globalization?
I think information needs of their colleagues. According to the communication, styles of different countries or cultures, being able to effectively share information between ships can make or break the productivity of geographically dispersed team, making this an important issue for many companies.
Thank you for your good answer, Miriam.
Also, communication with a purpose is a type of communication carried out with different purposes, right?
Yes.
Bonifacio, can we discuss the types of communication with a purpose?
Of course. First is communication to inform something. This type of communication focuses on conveying the message that the speaker has to the recipient of the message.
Correct. Second is communication to invite or influence. Is this type of communication, the speaker will focus on communicating using words that can influence the other person to do what the speaker wants. This type of communication is often used by sellers to consumers to buy products. And third is communication to express feelings. In this type of communication, the speaker will focus on conveying and expressing his feelings to the other person. And fourth, communication to reach an agreement. This type of communication focuses on discussions between people who are communicating. The communicating parties will convey their respective opinions and then seek mutually agreed agreements. Can you give the last, Bonifacio?
Yes, the last communication to meet needs. In this type of communication, the speaker will focus on conveying his needs to other persons. So,
each represents rather a message that is but one part of the whole communication process. This process begins when a person feels a need to communicate. For example, a student may feel that his or her looks messy after gym class. To check it out, the student encodes or places into sound patterns a message, "Does my hair look messy?" Person 2 hears the sounds and the codes, or assign meanings to the message. Kali is worrying about messy hair again. The friend that it codes a response into sounds patterns. Your hair looks great, Kali. Stop worrying. Kali hears the sounds and decodes their meaning. Oh, great. Pat thinks my hair doesn't look messy, Kali said. This illustration shows how the communication process works for one person-to-person exchange involving a single idea or feeling. In ordinary conversation, the communication process unlikely to stop with a single exchange. Thank you, Bonifacio, for sharing your knowledge about communication.
Thank you also for answering my question, Miller. It is true that communication is very important in our lives.
Thank you, Bonifacio and Manlabas. Let's move on in the next informative speech.
Informative speech. It is speech that aims to inform the audience about a specific topic. The goal of the information is not to persuade listeners or to change their beliefs or actions, but to increase their knowledge and awareness of to the subject. Informative messages attempts to present an objective, true, and unbiased view of a person. It aims to educate the audience on a particular topic. What is the main goal of an informative speech? The main goal of informative speech revolves around providing the audience with information on a specific topic. The information can help them to broaden their view of the world, raise awareness, or provide the truth or the true information. So the main point of this is for us to be knowledgeable about a specific topic. So let's move on to the next, the definitional speech. Definitional speech attempts to define concepts, theories, philosophies, or issues that may be unfamiliar to the audience speakers. Speaker in this type of speech may begin by providing the historical derivation, classification, or synonyms of the terms from the subject background, defining the key characteristics of one concept compared to another. But take note that in definitional speech, this is not from dictionary definition. It's not dictionary definition. It seeks to define the concept and or process in ways that that can make them relevant to the situation or the problem that the audience faces. It offers the audience an orientation, a way of thinking about a phenomenon. Definitional speech provide the meaning of a specific topic about which their audience has minimal knowledge. This type of speech can be general or extremely specific. The purpose of this speech is to educate the audience regarding the main points of the topic.
Descriptive speech. A descriptive speech aims to provide an accurate mental picture in the mind of the audience regarding a specific person, place, or thing. Audience should live with a clear idea of the subject in their mind. It's established of the topic's characteristic, features, function, or fine points. Okay, ito pong descriptive speech is, ito po yung, like sa movie po, scripted po yung speech nila. Like kinakabisado na lang nila, and then, ina-action po yung speech ng nasa script. Explanatory speech. The function of this speech to clarify the topic and is focused on reports of current and historical events, custom, transformation, inventions, policies, outcomes, and option. Ito pong explanatory speeches is ito po yung in-explain mo sa tao para malaman niya. Like, kung may business man kayo, if yung brands na tinitinda nyo, pag may clients na nag-question about your brands, ini-explain mo sa client nyo po. Yun lang. And the next is demonstration speeches. A demonstration speech is the most practical of all informative speeches. It shows the audience how a process is accomplished or how to perform it themselves. In a short, it describe how to act or do something. And the emphasis of this speech is on a chronological explanation of some process, application, or course of action. Ito pong demonstration speeches is dinedemonstrate mo sa tao, like tinuturuan mo na may kasamang action and ini-explain mo. Like sports, paglalaro ng basketball, 'di ba minsan may tinuturuan tayo and about skills na matututunan ng players natin. May action po yun, like nagdi-dribble ka, ini-explain mo, like behind the back or step back. May action po yung pag-explain sa paglalaro ng basketball. And ayun po, dinedemonstrate mo siya sa tao.
So now, let's move on to the general informative speech topics. The first one is objects. Speech about objects. Objects are the things that exist in the world. This speech is merely used to talk about something that has physical value. So these are the things that exist in the world. This speech may include how the objects are designed, how they function, and what is it. The second one is speeches about process. This speech simply says you want to tell the audience how to do something or how a specific object works. Example, you are watching in YouTube how to cook this or that. The video you are watching is the type of process of speech. Yes. Now, the next one is speech about event. This speech is about an event. This means you would present information about the past, present, and future. You can use a different kind of order, but when you are explaining a timeline, you should use chronological order to easily understand the audience, the progress or the sequence of events. Lastly, the speeches about concept. Concepts are abstract and difficult ideas or theories. This is more than an abstract topic like religion. This means you are delivering information about theories, ideas, and beliefs. So technically, you are discussing the things that don't have the physical existence. And let's hear the information from the other side, Mr. Gimbal and Mr. Bigonio.
Hello everyone. In this section, I'll be explaining purposive communication and its types. Purposive communication. Purposive communication is defined as communication that serves a specific purpose. Communication serves 5 general functions: conveying information, expressing emotions, imagining, influencing, and to inform. As a result, when using targeted communication, we need to plan and execute a communication process to achieve one of these goals. It is to communicate her message or idea to a specific audience in the best format and through the best channels possible. It may be delivered orally or in writing, but the messages are properly formatted and structured to serve their intended purpose. So what is purposive communication? Purposive communication is communicating with a reason or reason to communicate. In communicating, there are 5 functions or purposes. First is conveying information. Second is expressing emotion. Third is imaging. Fourth is influencing. And fifth is to inform. So when you communicate or when we communicate with people, we need to plan or you need to plan and execute on how you can satisfy one of the 5 functions so that you know better on how you can give or convey the information in the best way possible. Additionally, there are only 2 ways, orally, which is verbal, and writing, which is nonverbal. So let's go to the types of purposive communication. In purposive communication, there are 5 types. First is listening. Second is speaking. Third is reading. Fourth is writing. And fifth is viewing. In listening, when we communicate, we first learn on how to listen. Through this, we will be able to construct our words or sentences that we reply to someone we communicate to. It is believed that while we listen, we generate the words or sentences required for a response. In speaking, it delivers a language through the mouth. Speakers can express their responses, their ideas through verbal. In speaking, this is the process of delivering or giving verbal responses using the voice or mouth. Reading. It teaches us a new words and perspectives. It helps strengthen language and sharpen sentence structure. It gives us a better command over the language. We strengthen our language primarily through reading. This is where we learn or where you learn new words, sentences, and or perspectives. Writing. It equips us with communication and thinking skills. Also, it fosters our ability to explain and refine our ideas to others and to ourselves. Writing allows us to improve our ability to explain, as well as refine the beautification and explanation of our ideas to others. And the last type in purposive communication is viewing. It helps us to slow down, reflect, and think about the images that we are seeing and develop new knowledge and skills to analyze and evaluate visual text and multimedia text that uses visuals. It helps us to acquire information and appreciate ideas and experiences visually communicated by others. As far as I can tell, it is more focused on thinking than on seeing, which means that you see, you process it, and then understand it. And from your understanding, you can develop the information or knowledge you have acquired and appreciate the ideas and experiences of others. So, before I end my part in the presentation, I want to share a short story that highlights the 5 types of purposive communication. There was a boy who loved reading runes during the day and viewing the stars in the sky at night. This boy is named Rice. He likes runes and has a hobby of writing down the text of the runes that he already has memorized. One day, while Rice was traveling in the village of Com in Nox's kingdom, he suddenly heard a loud noise. He felt excited, yet he is slightly scared. He knows that an adventure is awaiting him once he knows what is making the noise far ahead. Listening as the sound became louder, feeling the energy around him and sensing if there is any danger. Faster and faster, Rice ran towards the source of the sound. Once he had reached it, he noticed that it was no person, nor animal, nor anything that is living. The noise came from a strange portal that he had never seen, and then he heard something speaking. "Come here, Rice. Follow me to the void," says the one from the other side of the portal. Rice walks slowly towards the portal. He knows that there is an adventure awaiting him from the other side of the portal. Rice knows that the portals are the doors to other dimensions, for he have read it from several runes, yet even it can be dangerous. Rice still went near the portal. As he get closer, the sound was suddenly gone. The things around him became blurry. Then he heard a deep sigh of breath and a hand from the portal suddenly pulled him. Till this day, no one have ever saw Rice again. Some say he is still reading runes in the other dimension, but some others says that he is already dead. No one truly knows, and this is where the story ends. In the short story I read, it focuses on emphasizing the 5 different types of purposive communication, where each term is appropriately discussed and its respective role is underlined.
Hi sir, hi classmates, this is Rajiv Gimbal, and in this portion we are going to talk about the functions of purposive communications. So we have here the several types of functions such as conveying message or information, expressing emotion, imagining, influencing, and lastly is to inform. So first off, we have here the conveying message or information. It states here that an individual must convey the message or information in 2 ways, such as directly or indirectly by means of actions and words. Let me give you a scenario here. Say for example, your boss asked for something and you responded yes while nodding, and you acknowledge his words. And through your actions and words, you are conveying a message that you are agreeing with him. So next is the indirect way of conveying a message. Say for example, you're talking with a friend and your friend tells a story and you did not respond or say anything and walked back, meaning you're indirectly saying that you're not interested to the story of your friend. Just as simple as that. Next is the expressing emotion. Emotions can be expressed verbally through words or tone of voice, or non-verbally through body language or facial expressions. Say for example, you heard your boss call your name with a high tone of voice, and by just hearing that, you know your boss's emotions as he calls your name. Maybe he's angry because of something, and you can feel that through the tone of voice. So second is the non-verbal. It can be raising your hands suddenly or crossing arms. And I can say that facial expression is the most common and the easiest way to express our emotions. And we all know that because every time we talk to someone or say something, facial expression is the most used way of expressing our emotions. Third is the imagining. Imagining. Image is a function of communication by simply imagining all the words that comes through their mouth that would lead to understand one another. We can use the scenario here where, say for example, a police officer is talking to a witness and the witness is explaining how the things happened with regards to the suspect, and the police officer is imagining all the words that comes out through the mouth of the witness, and while imagining all those informations, he is translating it to reality so that he would be able to understand more the situation. And that's a good example of imagining. So we have here the influencing. It is must to influence when we communicate. We should influence people with the use of our words through communicating. Say for example, I have a friend Jake and he likes my voice, and I'll be giving him some tips on how am I able to do the way I sing. And I'll just tell him that this is how you're gonna do it every day, daily, your warm-ups, exercises. And after Jake heard that, he would do the same thing as I have told him. And through communication, I am able to influence Jake to do my warm-ups and exercises for him to get the voice that he is looking for. And lastly is to inform. To inform is the most vital in communication. A lot of us, we communicate to inform one another in any news that we know. Through this, people would be aware of it. Good example here is just like what we always do, what you sir always do in our class. Whenever you're in a meeting or school events, you're always informing us that there will be no synchronous classes, so that we will be able to prepare for the asynchronous classes or activities that you have prepared for us. And by informing us, we understand each other, and that we don't have much time wasted, because you have informed us to do the asynchronous activities. And
Thank you for that information. The next is Argumentative Communication. Mr. Logica and Federizo.
Greetings everyone, especially to Sir Kim, Tony, our teacher in Purposive Communication. This is ENI's Group 4 discussing types of various purposes of argumentative communication. Argumentative communication, modern decision-making methodology where reasonable communicators attempt to defend their positions within a certain context given to argument and tending to argue. Argumentative communication is considered a subset of assertiveness because while all argumentation is assertive, not all assertiveness is argumentative. Argumentative individuals advocate position on controversial issues and verbally attack others people contradictory perspectives. Example, inside of a courtroom, two or three or more senators making debate about the bill that need to be a Republic Act. This matter take process to be passed. It has a due process. That's my example. And the art of persuading based on a ground, on facts and feeling may not apply. Convincing others to agree with your point of view or to follow a course of action. For some of us, persuasion is an innate equality, and the power of influencing comes naturally. For the rest of us, persuasion skills can be learned and developed over time. Likewise, argumentativeness attacks the speaker's position rather than the individual. While assertiveness is an argumentative, not all argumentation is assertive. Next slide. Audience. Audience is the main focus around which effective arguments are developed and formulated. Argumenting, convincing the audience to help or be in the speaker's bright side context. The audience of a piece is the intended readers of the piece. Audience can influence the structure of a persuasive essay of For a receptive audience who is open to hearing your point of view, the classical argument structure is best. Debating, unfolding reason, a theory. Debating is a discussion between people in which they express different opinions about something they want to talk about. Next slide. Hostile communication. It's use I'm sorry for the wrong spelling. It's a typographical error. It's use verbal and non-verbal message to express their negative feeling like irritability, negativity, and resentment. Antagonist against authority rules. Anger aims to eliminate the other. They tend to be pessimistic about outcomes the other people view to be more favorable, decline to cooperate. How do you stop hostile communication? For me, some things you can do to be more assertive in your communication. You're gonna ask for what you need rather than expecting other to guess. Calmly express your feeling. Explain your feelings and needs. Let other people know that you recognize their needs. Listen well to what other people have to say. Assertive communication. The speaker display controls and forcefulness in interpersonal interaction and make use of assertiveness to further personal objective. Assertive uses both verbal and non-verbal sign to maintain control, secure, reasonable rewards, and refrain from abusing the right of other. Example, praises of an assertive communicator would include, we are equally entitled to express ourselves respectfully to one another. Whether you're communicating in the workspace or with friends and family, assertiveness is an important element of communication across many domains here. You learn all about assertive communication. Use I statement to ensure that you clearly communicate how you feel to the other person. Example, I would like. Aggressive requests usually begin with you. You never do this. Avoid extreme language. Always never. Use clear verbs to communicate your message. Example, will instead of could. Need instead of want. Actively listen to the feedback you receive, whether it's positive or negative, and be respectful in your response back. This picture, the passive, assertive, and aggressive. Constructive feedback and criticism. Attacks that are directly towards a person's position are classified as assertive or argumentative. Attacks that are directed at a person, personality, background, action, or any other aspect who they are viewed as unfriendly and possibly aggressive. What are some examples of constructive criticism? For example, I know you might not feel comfortable doing tasks outside of your role, but I would love it if you could lend me a hand when needed so we can be completed successful as a team. Let me know what specific areas would like to some extra support in, and we can come with a plan together. That's all. Thank you.
The rhetorical triangle is composed of three parts: ethos, pathos, and logos. It is often represented by an equilateral triangle. All three sides are equidistant from one another. To show the equal importance of each concept to effective communication and persuasion, Aristotle, the Greek philosopher and rhetorician, thought that audience appeal in these three areas is what determines whether a speaker can effectively persuade, but this in fact extends to all forms of communication, including writing. So without further ado, I present our three concepts. The first one, ethos. Ethos is what convinces your reader that you're a writer of character and credibility. It employs a variety of techniques to show the reader that you, as a writer, know what you're talking about and are trustworthy enough to provide the right information to the reader. As a writer, you're tasked with persuading your reader to accept your thesis and arguments as true. In order to do this, you should know that you've considered multiple viewpoints in development of your argument by correctly citing and documenting sources, and illustrate an awareness of genre and purpose by choosing appropriate words and suitable tone. Next is pathos. On the opposite end of spectrum, pathos is an appeal to emotion, beliefs, and values. Instead of focusing on writer roles, it places emphasis on the role of audience and readers. It places emphasis on the role of the audience and readers. In some genres, this is a direct appeal to the audience emotion. Through, say, the telling of a heart-wrenching story with vivid detail and imaginary. Other times, it caters to belief and value system that the writers know his or her reaction. Pathos is how you make your subject matter by which you appeal to audience. Pathos requires that you think about your audience even before you begin writing. The last one is logos. The third corner of our rhetorical triangle is logos. Logos represent the role of the text in effective persuasion, as it asks us to think specifically about how well the writer has argued his or her point. It appeals directly to logic and reason. The easiest way to test out your logos is to ensure that your argument is the easiest way to test your logos is to ensure that your argument is clear and specific. That's all in our rhetorical triangle. Tolman argument. What is Tolman method? Developed by philosopher Stephen E. Tolman. The Tolman method is a style of argumentation that breaks argument down into 6 component parts: claim, grounds, warrant, qualifier, rebuttal, and backing. In Tolman methods, every part begins with 3 fundamental parts: the claim, the grounds, and the warrant. A claim is the assertion that the authors would like to prove to their audience. It is, in other words, the main argument. The grounds of an argument are the evidence and facts that help support the claim. Finally, the warrant, which is either implied or stated explicitly, is the assumption that links the grounds to the claim. For example, if you argue that there are dogs nearby, in order to assert the claim that a dog is nearby, you provide evidence and specific facts or the grounds by the acknowledging that we hear barking and howling. Since we know that dog barks and howl, we can assume that a dog is nearby. The other 3 elements, backing, qualifier, and rebuttal, are not fundamental to a Tolman's argument, but may added as necessary. Using this element wisely can help writers construct full arguments. Backing. Backing refers to any additional support of the warrants. In many cases, the warrant is implied and therefore the backing provides the support for the warrant by giving a specific example that justifies the warrant. The qualifier shows that a claim may not be true in all circumstances, word like presumed. And the last one, the rebuttal, is an acknowledgement of another valid viewpoint of situation. That's all.
And that's all for today. Thank you.
Now, let's hear the audience. Comments or questions? If you have questions, you can comment on the comment section and we will try to answer your questions. Thank you.